You know that specific muffled meow in the middle of the night? The one that usually means a gift has been left on your doormat, or worse, right on your pillow?
Right. And it's such a complicated moment for us, isn't it? There's that initial shock or even a bit of revulsion, but it's so important to pause and look at the why behind it.
Exactly. It's easy to see it as a bit grisly, but in the feline mind, this isn't an act of aggression or cruelty at all. It's actually a very distinct communicative event.
That's exactly it. It's so fascinating how they share resources like this. When we step back from our human perspective, we can see it for what it truly is, a complex biological imperative wrapped up in a social bond.
It's so interesting when you think about it. We see these soft domestic companions curled up on our laps, but underneath that, there's still this incredibly efficient predator living inside them.
That's exactly it. Even after thousands of years by our side, they've kept that entire biological toolkit. The night vision, the whiskers, those retractable claws, it's all still perfectly tuned for the hunt.
Right. And I think it's important for owners to realize that a full bowl of kibble doesn't just switch off that instinct. It's a fundamental drive, really, just as deep as the need to sleep or groom.
It really is. When you see them patrolling the hallway, they aren't just playing, they're reenacting an ancient survival script. It's just this beautiful, wild part of who they are at their core.
You know, it's such a common worry for cat owners, seeing their well-fed pet stalking a bird or a toy and wondering, are they still hungry? But the science behind it is actually quite reassuring.
It really is. It turns out that for cats, the drive to hunt is on a completely separate circuit in the brain than the urge to eat. They're not hunting because they're starving. They're doing it because the act itself provides this natural dopamine reward.
Right. And from an evolutionary standpoint, that's just a brilliant safeguard. In the wild, prey is so scarce that they have to be ready to strike whenever the opportunity pops up, even if they just ate.
That's exactly it. So when you see them spending hours watching a moth or stalking a shadow, just know that's their biology at work. They're perfectly content. They're just hardwired to stay sharp.
You know, there's a term in biology that sounds a bit intense, surplus killing. But when you look at it through a cat's eyes, it's actually quite practical.
Right. It sounds a little harsh to our ears, but it's really just a smart survival strategy. It's all about that separation between the actual feeling of hunger and the instinct to hunt.
Exactly. If they encounter a moment of abundance, they're biologically wired to catch what they can right then, because in the wild, you never know when lean times are coming.
That's exactly it. So if your cat leaves a gift on the rug without eating it, they aren't being wasteful or cruel. They're just following a directive to secure resources while they're available. To them, your home is essentially just the safest storage facility they know.
You know, we often wonder why our cats insist on bringing their catches right into the middle of the house, but it actually makes a lot of sense when you look at how they see the world.
It's so fascinating how they divide their environment. To a cat, there are the hunting grounds, which are full of danger, and then there's the core territory. That's your home.
Right. The core territory is their sanctuary. It's the one place where they can sleep, groom, and really let their guard down without worrying about larger predators.
Exactly. And because eating is such a vulnerable act, you have to lower your head and focus on the meal. They don't want to do it out in the open.
That's exactly it. By carrying that prize to the kitchen or the bedroom, they're just seeking out the safest possible spot to handle it. It's a real testament to how secure they feel with you. It's one of those gift-giving moments every cat owner knows, right? But the theory behind why they do it is actually really touching. It's rooted in that deep maternal instinct to teach.
That's exactly it. In the wild, a queen has this very staged process for her kittens. First, she brings home dead prey, just so they can get used to the smell and the taste. It's their first real lesson.
Right, and it evolves from there. She'll eventually bring back injured prey so they can practice the killing bite, and finally, live prey to chase. It's this profound hormonal drive to provide and instruct.
And what's so fascinating is that even our indoor neutered cats keep that drive. So when they drop a mouse at your feet,
They're basically looking at you with a bit of empathy, thinking, you clearly don't know how to hunt, so let me show you how it's done.
It really is a backhanded compliment, isn't it? They're just making sure we're fed.
You know, it's easy to be a bit taken aback when your cat leaves a gift on the rug. But if we look at it from their perspective, it's actually coming from a place of deep care.
It really is. To them, we're these giant, slightly clumsy companions who, let's be honest, are remarkably inept at hunting our own food.
Right. They see us struggling with can openers or just sitting there while a bug crawls by, and they conclude that we're essentially permanent kittens who can't fend for ourselves.
That's exactly it. So they step into the social role of the provider, making sure the incompetent members of their colony are actually fed.
It's a complete role reversal, isn't it? The pet becomes the caretaker.
It is. So next time, instead of seeing a mess, try to see it as a care package, just a little extra protein from a family member who's worried you aren't eating enough. It's quite sweet, really.
You know, we often label cats as these solitary loners, but they're actually what we call facultatively social. They're incredibly good at forming these supportive communities when they feel secure.
Right. It's like they have this built-in potluck system. Even though they hunt alone, they're hardwired to bring those resources back to the home base to support the collective.
That's exactly it. So when your cat leaves a bird by the back door, they aren't just making a mess. They're actually paying their dues to the household.
It's so fascinating how they share resources like that. They're participating in the survival of the family unit, making sure everyone stays strong. It's really a very steady, reassuring sign that they see you as part of their colony.
You know, for anyone who's lived with a cat, there's that one very specific sound they make when they've, well, hunted something for you.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a normal meow or a greeting, is it? It's that guttural, muffled yowl. It's so distinct because their mouth is full, but there's this real sense of urgency to it.
That's exactly it. And what's fascinating is that it's actually a call to gather. In the wild, a mother cat uses that exact vocalization to summon her kittens to a meal she's brought back.
Right. So when they're walking down the hallway making that noise, they aren't just making noise. They are explicitly calling you. They're announcing that resources have arrived, and they're essentially demanding your presence.
It's so true. And if you don't answer that call, they'll just keep bringing it closer and closer to make sure you got the message, usually until it's sitting right there in your lap.
You know, it's one of those moments that feels like total chaos, suddenly finding a live bird or a mouse loose in your kitchen. But from your cat's perspective, they're actually being incredibly supportive.
That's exactly it. It's what experts call the maternal teaching hypothesis. In their eyes, they've handled the hard part, the hunt and the transport, and now they're just inviting you into the advanced class to practice the finishing move.
Right, it's an interactive lesson. It's so fascinating how they share these resources with us, but then we jump on a chair and scream, which honestly is probably pretty confusing for them.
It really is. They're likely sitting there thinking we just lack any predatory instinct, and they might even resolve to bring something a bit slower and easier for us next time. They're just trying to help us get there.
It's so interesting when we look at indoor cats, even without access to wildlife. That hunting instinct, it just finds another outlet.
Right. It's the socks, isn't it? Or those crumpled balls of paper left right in the middle of the rug or on your pillow.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that the psychology is identical. They stalk the sock, they capture it, and then you hear that specific, muffled victory cry as they carry it to you.
It's so fascinating how they share resources. To them, those are high-value items. By relocating them to your space, they're really just exercising that same biological muscle.
That's exactly it. And it's so important to meet those deliveries with real warmth and gravity. For the cat, the emotional intent, that hormonal satisfaction, is exactly the same as a wild catch.
Right. It's a big deal to them, and acknowledging that really honors that bond.
It's so fascinating how they share resources, but it really comes down to the brain chemistry behind it. That whole sequence, the stalk, the pounce, it triggers this massive surge of dopamine.
Right. It's a powerful reward loop. And by the time they bring that gift to your feet, they've reached this sense of closure. They feel completely successful.
That's exactly it, which is why training them out of it is so tough. The behavior itself is chemically rewarding.
Exactly. So when we punish them in that moment, it's confusing for them. It contradicts all that positive feedback their brain is giving them. We have to remember, they're just following a very natural, very satisfying cycle.
You know, we often see that gift on the rug as just a mess to clean up, but it's actually a moment of profound vulnerability for a cat.
That's exactly it. When a cat has something in its mouth, they're essentially defenseless. They can't bite or vocalize if they're jumped. So traversing the whole house just to find you in that state, it's a massive display of trust.
Right. And in their world, sharing food isn't just a random act. It's a bonding behavior they reserve strictly for their inner circle. They're essentially saying, I'm safe with you, and you're my family.
It's so fascinating how they share resources like that. It really is a compliment of the highest order. It transforms that gift from a piece of garbage into a genuine token of love.
You know, it's so fascinating to look at where our cats actually choose to leave these gifts. It's rarely just a random spot on the floor, is it?
Right, exactly. They often pick things like our shoes or our pillows, the places that carry our scent the most. It's almost like they're intentionally mingling their big achievement with our essence.
That's exactly it. And if they drop it right in their food bowl, they're basically contributing to the communal cache for the whole family. But when it ends up on your bed, that's the nest. To them, that is the safest, most sacred spot in the entire territory.
It really is. It's such a grounded way of showing that you're the center of their social world. They aren't trying to hide the kill from you. They're presenting it to you in the places where you're most present, or even most vulnerable. It's actually a really beautiful sign of trust.
You know, we love our cats, but we have to talk about those gifts they bring to the doorstep. It's a tough one because, as much as we care for them, they really are prolific hunters, and that can have a pretty significant impact on our local birds and small wildlife.
It really can. And I think a lot of owners carry a heavy sense of guilt over that impact, which is such a valid, common feeling. But it's so important to remember that this isn't about fixing the cat or using discipline, because let's be honest, that rarely works for something so instinctual.
Right. It's more about managing the outcome than suppressing the drive. We want to honor their nature while still being responsible stewards of our local biodiversity. Usually that means making small shifts in their routine or their environment.
That's exactly it. It's finding that balance, protecting our nature while staying grounded in the reality of who our cats are. It's okay to acknowledge that tension and just work with it.
You know, it can be a bit jarring when your cat brings a gift to the back door, but the most effective way to handle that is actually just redirecting all that predatory energy before they even head outside.
That's exactly it. It's about giving them a safe outlet. Regular, intense play with something like a wand toy, mimicking those erratic movements of a bird or a mouse. It lets them really lean into those instincts.
Right. You want them to stalk, chase, and finally catch it. But the real secret is how you end the session. You have to give them a high-value treat or their dinner right afterward.
It's so fascinating how that works. It completes the full hunt, catch, kill, eat cycle their biology is wired for. When you satisfy that urge at home, they just don't feel that same pressure to go out and perform the real thing.
Exactly. A tired, well-fed cat is much more likely to just relax than to go scouring the garden. It's really about meeting them where they are.
You know, it's always a bit of a shock when your cat brings home a gift, but if they're going outside, there are some really thoughtful ways to manage that hunting instinct. A lot of people reach for a bell first, but cats are incredibly clever. They often learn exactly how to move silently enough to keep that bell from even making a sound.
Right. They're such masters of stealth. That's why those bright, reflective, bird-safe collars are so interesting. Instead of relying on sound, they just make the cat way too visible, which completely ruins the element of surprise. It's a much more grounded way to level the playing field.
That's exactly it. And honestly, just being mindful of the clock helps so much. If we can keep them inside during those crepuscular hours, dawn and dusk, when they're naturally most active, it really cuts down on those successful hunts.
It really does. And I think the most reassuring thing for owners is knowing that keeping them in at night is a win-win. It protects the local wildlife, of course, but it also keeps our cats safe from other predators. It's all about creating that peaceful balance for everyone.
So, we've all been there. You walk into the kitchen and find a gift waiting for you on the rug. It's a bit of a shock, but the most important thing is to stay calm and definitely avoid any kind of punishment.
That's exactly it. Yelling or reaching for a spray bottle really only serves to confuse them. They don't see the prey as a mistake, they see it as a contribution. If we react harshly, they just start to see us as unpredictable or even aggressive, which really damages that bond.
Right. It's about validation, isn't it? Just a simple, steady, "Thank you, good hunter," acknowledges their effort without making a scene.
Exactly. Then you just gently move them to another room with a treat or a favorite toy. Once they're happily occupied, you can quietly take care of the cleanup. It's such a simple, empathetic way to preserve that deep trust you've built together.
If the hunting behavior becomes unmanageable or the ecological cost is just getting too high, it might be time to consider transitioning to an indoor-only lifestyle.
That's exactly it, but we have to remember to lead with patience. When we bring them inside, we're essentially shrinking their world, so we really need to expand their indoor enrichment to compensate.
Right. It's about adding that vertical space, like cat trees, or even a catio, so they can still experience the outdoors safely.
Exactly. It's a shift from a physical hunt to a mental one. By using things like puzzle feeders, we're engaging their brains rather than live animals, making their indoor life just as stimulating and rewarding.
It's easy to get a little grossed out when your cat drops a gift at your feet. But if you look closer, it's actually this incredibly profound bridge between their wild instincts and your domestic life together. That's exactly it. It's not about the mess. It's a behavior rooted in survival and communal care. When they do this, they're essentially treating you like family, trying to include you in the most important part of their world.
Right. So the next time you hear that specific muffled meow in the middle of the night, just remember the intention behind it. It's a symbol of your relationship, as complicated as it might be in the moment.
It really is. And we'd love to hear from you. What's the most unusual or surprising gift your cat has ever brought home? Share those stories with us in the comments.